Okay, students, always make sure you remember to put your name on your paper, the date, whatever date it is. For me, I'm making this video on the 23rd, so I'm placing a date, but you place your date and your class period, whatever period is doing. I teach second, third, fourth, fifth, seventh, and eighth period, so I would have one of those periods here if it was in your class period. Now, the steps say Y1 equals type in the problem here. Y2, type in the answer choice. Before you get started, you want to turn your calculator on and reset it. How do you reset your calculator? It's second plus 712. So just press the second key, which is the blue key. The plus, it brings up this menu. 7 for reset, 1 for all RAM, and 2 to reset. So now our calculator is ready because it's clear. So the first problem is, which expression is equivalent? Underline the word equivalent to this expression, n squared minus 5n minus 14. Whenever we have other letters, we're going to use x. So it's going to be x squared minus 5x minus 14. So we want to know which one of these expressions are equivalent. So we're going to go to y equals. So press y equals on your calculator. You're going to put in x squared. So x is located next to the alpha button. Squared minus 5x minus 14. We put the problem in y1, and then in y2, we're going to put the answer choice. Open parentheses, there's an n minus 2, so we're going to put x minus 2, close parentheses, is n plus 7. So open parentheses, x plus 7, close parentheses. Now, in order to see if these match, we're going to look at a list, and that list is located in the table, which is second graph. So we're going to press second graph, and we check all the values. Now, the first value matches, negative 14, but when x changed to 1, y1 is negative 18, which is our problem, y2 is negative 8. So now they're not equal. So A would be not equal. So we would put an X over that one. So go back to y equals, go down to y2, clear what's in y2, and put your second answer choice. Second answer choice is n minus 7 times n plus 2. So open parentheses, x minus 7. Then we do close parentheses, then open parentheses, x plus 2. Second graph, so we can compare the values. We know what our values are for our problem, and then we look at y2, which is our answer choice. They look like they're equal all the way down, so therefore this one is the answer. To prove to the teacher that you did this correctly, just make you a mini table here, so you show that y1 is equal to y2 all the way down. It was 0, negative 14, 14. At 1, they were both a negative 18. At 2, they're both negative 20. So B is the answer. We know B is the answer. We wrote our proof right here. All right? Let's see doing problem number 2. Which expression is equivalent? I'm going to pause here so you can have a chance to do the steps. So the first step is to put this one as y1, and we put our answer choice in y2. Then we press second graph to see our values. All right, so let's start. Press y equals, clear this, and then put in 8x squared plus 8x plus 2. Enter. Now we're going to put our first answer choice. This is 2x plus 1 and it's squared. So you're going to open parentheses, 2x plus 1, close parentheses. How do you square parentheses? You can press this x squared here, or you can press the up button and put a 2. I'm just going to press this x squared button and press enter. Now that's my first answer choice. What we're going to do next is press second graph and check the values. Right away, I see that my answer choice does not match my original problem. So I know that A is not the answer. All right, y equals, let's go down. Let's change this to the B choice, which is 2 open parentheses 2x minus 1 square. Press enter, then press second graph. This is our original problem, 2, then it was 2. But here, when the response is 18, this y2 is 2. So they're not matching exactly all the way down. So B is not the answer. Y equals, go down to 2, press clear. Let's try this one. We're going to put a 2 on the outside of parentheses. Then we're going to put 2x minus 1. Then 2x plus 1. Make sure you put your parentheses. All right. You're going to press second graph. Oh, I just pressed graph. My bad. This is a quadratic function. That's why it looks like a U. I can see that these aren't equal because they're not the same graph. So let me go second graph now. They're not equal all the way down. So, all right, last one. This obviously is equal, but we're going to make sure we didn't make any mistakes. So we're going to do this one. 2 open parentheses 2x plus 1 close parentheses squared. Now you're going to press enter and then press second graph. Notice that all the same all the way down. So I know this is my answer, but when I accidentally just pressed graph before, I was able to see a picture. So notice this graph, and then it's blue, but then the other graph's right on top of it is red. So if you graph it, you can tell that they're the same. This graph equals the other graph. They graph right on top of each other, so they're the same. And so that's to go for equivalent, to make sure that the y values are the same, or you can simply graph it and see that they are the same. Right, at this time, we're going to do calculated strategies 3 and 4 for when they don't give you two things, they just give you one of the factors. Right? So here it says which expression is a factor. So that's different from equivalent. Is a factor is different from equivalent. They're only giving you one of them. Here it was asking for equivalent because this was x squared. We had two expressions here. Here it's asking for a factor. So it says type your problem in y1 and y2 and graph to see the zeros. What it means is I have a graph and this is our x-axis. And I'm trying to see if the line goes through the x-intercept. This is called the factor. If it goes through the x-intercept, it's a factor. Right? So that's what we're looking for. So we're going to have a quadratic function and we're going to have a linear function going through its x-intercept. So it intercepts at the x-intercept. So this is what you're looking for the line to go through. So let's do the first one. Remember, this is not equivalent. This is factor. So first, we're going to clear the two things. And let's put in our first equation. X squared. What is a factor of x squared? Minus 7x minus 8. Right? We're only at 8 minutes, so we're doing good. Now we're going to put in the first factor, x plus 1. Let's graph it. Press graph. We're not pressing second graph. We're pressing graph to see if it goes through the zeros, which are the x-intercepts. Here's my graph. So you look at there. Let's see if I can zoom my camera in on that. You can't hardly see it. Let's see. Yeah. Notice that this factor, x plus 1, goes right through that -1 where this goes in. All right, so the factor is at -1. Let's press second graph and see what that looks like. At a -1, look at both of them are 0. So these are called zeros, or they're called the x-intercept. So let's write that down. I know that this is the answer because when I look where it went through a -1, and y1 was 0, and y2 was also 0. That's when you know you got your x-intercept. Zeros represents the x-intercept. Remember, the key is that the factor went through the 0, which is the x-intercept, as well as the quadratic function. They both intercept at the same point. So look at your calculator so you know what I'm talking about. Let's do problem number 4. The factor is 36x squared. I mean, not the factor. It's the quadratic function, 36x squared minus 49. Excuse me, I had to cough. Okay, we're going to put in our first factor, which is this a value. 6x minus 7. The y1 is a quadratic function. That's why it has x squared on it. Let's graph it and see what it looks like. It went down, it came back up. Now we're seeing our factor. It looks like it's going through the 0. Let me zoom in so I can see it. Yep, it went right through that 0. So it looks like it's going through a little above 1. So I won't be able to see that in the table because the table are whole numbers. So I won't be able to see it go through the 0. So let's just try and do one of the other answers to make sure our answer is correct. Let's do 6x minus 49. And we're going to graph that. Here's our quadratic function. It's a u, it's just going up like that. And here is 6x minus 49. It is not going through either one of these points, so I know B is not the answer. And just to make sure, we'll put in the C option, which was 18x minus 49. And graph it. I don't see that graph as well, but let me zoom 6. Zoom 6, make it back to the standard window so I can get out of that other window. And I still don't see 18x minus 49. It's intersecting over here. It's not going through my quadratic function at all. So that's why I know that is not the answer. It's way over here. It's not even going through the 0. All right, so it's not C. We may have already got the right answer. Let's try D, which is go to y equals, put the D answer in, and that's 18x minus 7. Graph it. Here's my quadratic function. It went through 2 parts. Now this other one. It did not go through a 0. Let me zoom in so you can see that it doesn't go through the x-intercept, which is the 0. So this is my quadratic function. It's going through this x and that x. But this is going right here. So D is not the answer. So we know our answer is A. All right, now what you're going to do is you're going to finish the rest of this star practice on your own. I want you to underline words as equivalent, underline that word, and factor, a factor of. All right, if you're doing equivalent, then you know you're going to be doing second graph. When you're doing a factor of, you're trying to see if it's going through the zeros, which are the x-intercepts, right? So make sure you understand this. The factor is linear. The quadratic is a u. And that's it. That's your star practice for today.